This is 1.5 examples for your notes and for your homework. In this video, we're going to look at reviewing, adding and subtracting integer rules, and also adding and subtracting fractions and decimals. So when adding two numbers with the same sign, add the numbers and keep the sign. So same sign, add, and keep. When adding two numbers with different signs, subtract the numbers and take the sign of the larger number. So, yes, remember the song? Same signs, add and keep, different signs, subtract. Keep the sign of the larger number, then you'll be exact. I know y'all were dying to hear that song. So just remember that song, play it over and over in your head, trying to help you remember these rules. All right, definition of subtraction. To subtract a number, add its opposite. All right, so that's the notes. Let's look at some examples of your homework. The ones that I've circled are the ones that we're going to do, that I'm going to do for the examples on the video. So the ones I don't circle, you can do those on your own and let me check them if you want. They're optional, okay? But the ones that I've circled are not optional. All right, the first one said add using a number line, -3 plus -8. Now, you do not need to add using a number line. You can use the rules. So -3 plus -8, we add the numbers, so that's 11. And oops, and then since they are both negative, our answer will be negative. Now, you can use the number line if you want to, but I think that's just so much easier to remember the rule. All right, number 3, -3 minus -6. All right, remember that is going to be -3 plus 6. So now, because we're adding the opposite, that's the definition of subtraction. You change that to a positive, and then we're adding the opposite of -6, so we're adding +6. So -3 plus 6, they now have different signs. So subtract the numbers, 6 minus 3, and take the sign of the larger number. Well, since 6 has a positive, and it's bigger, has a positive sign in front of it, then our answer will be positive. All right, number 4. Now this problem says add using the number line. Now again, you can add 4 plus 5 together, and that is 9. But on the Math Excel program, you're going to need to move the dot, and the dot, I believe, will start at 0, and you'll have to move the dot. Here, let me see if I can make this work. I'll make this a big dot here. And then you're going to move the dots to 9. Okay, so that's how that will work on the Math Excel program. But right now, I'll just write the answer until we get there. All right, now let's go over to number 11. Now, number 11 is circled because we're going to do it as an example, but it's also highlighted. It means I need you to show your work. So -6.3 plus -6.2, they are same signs. They both have a minus sign or a negative sign in front of them. So we're going to add and keep. So whenever we add decimals, line the numbers and the place values and the decimals up, and we're going to add. So that will be 5. Bring your decimal straight down. 6 plus 6 is 12. So this answer is going to be -12.5 because they both had the same looking sign in front of the numbers. Okay? All right, number 12. So that was a review of adding decimals. Now let's review adding or subtracting fractions. When you add or subtract fractions, you need common denominators. Now these denominators look pretty big, but I'm going to give you a hint. These are actually not that bad. 37, when you multiply by 2, you get 74. So the LCD is 74. So I'm going to do this vertically. Well, no, let's do it horizontally. All right, so the LCD is 74 for both fractions. So 74, when we divide 74 by 74, we get 1. So basically, I'm just multiplying by 1. But when I divide 74 by 37, I get 2. So we're multiplying by 2 on bottom and top. So that will be -46. Oops, I left off on 69. All right, so they have different signs. 69 is actually positive, 46 is actually negative. So we're going to subtract the numbers, subtract the numerators only, and we get 23. So this answer is 23 over 74. All right, number 13. Let's quickly review subtracting again. This 3 is positive. This 17 has a minus sign. There are different signs. Subtract the numbers and take the sign, the larger number. Now 17 is the larger number. It has a minus sign in front of it. So this answer is negative 14. Okay. Number 14, they both have the same sign in front of them. So we're going to add the numbers and keep the sign. So this answer is negative 23. All right, 17. Notice is circled and highlighted. So we're going to show our work. So when we're adding, subtracting, adding and subtracting decimals or adding, subtracting fractions, I want you to show your work. So 4.5, too many points up there, 4.5 and 7.2. So they're same signs. So I'm going to add, bring my decimal down, straight down, and I get 11.7. Now both of those have a negative sign in front of them, so, or same sign, so we keep the sign. So it's negative 11.7. All right. So number 18. Again, we're looking at fractions. We need a common denominator. So the common denominator for 4 and 8. One way to do this is look at your bigger denominator and go through its multiples. So 8 times 1, 8 times 2, 8 times 3, 8 times 4, and so on. So you want to think, okay, well, I know 8 will divide by 8. Well, what about this first number 8? Will it divide by 4? Yes, so 8 is our LCD. I'm going to rewrite the problem. All right, so when I divide the LCD by the first denominator, 8 divided by 4 is 2. Oops. So I'm going to multiply by 2 on bottom and then also on top. When I divide the LCD by the second denominator, I get 1. So that means that I'm multiplying by 1 on top and bottom. So they have the same denominator. Keep the denominator the same. Look at your numerators. The numerators are positive 2 and negative 9. So that means we need to subtract the numbers because they're different signs and take the sign of the bigger number. Well, 9 is bigger. 9 has a minus sign in front of it. So this answer is negative 7/8. All right, number 19. A few word problems here. Just one. A commercial jetliner hits an air pocket and drops 213 feet. That drop word means that's a negative number. After climbing 110 feet, so climbing is positive, it drops another 181 feet. Whew, I wouldn't like that. Okay, so that's a minus sign. So we're going to take negatives. I want you to show your work on this one. Show your work. Show what you're writing, what you're adding and subtracting. So it drops. So that's negative 213 plus 110. And then it drops again. Now you can make this plus negative 181, or I'm just going to put minus 181. So we're going to add two fractions at the same time. I'll add two fractions. Add two numbers at the same time. So we're going to do the negative 213 plus 110. They're different signs, so we're subtracting the numbers. So that is negative 103, because the sign of the bigger number is negative. Bring this part down, so minus 181. Now they're same signs, so we're going to take 103 and add 181 and keep the sign. So this is negative 284 feet. So the overall vertical chains, they actually dropped a total of 284 feet. All right, so notice the ones that are highlighted. Remember to show your work on those, and I'm trying to show you examples of how to do that. All right, so this one says negative C. That minus sign in front of C means the opposite of whatever C is. So C is 7. So that'll be negative 7 plus B. B is negative 4.2 and then minus a. So that's minus -5. So I want you to show me what numbers you're plugging in for A, B, and C in the correct order. And now let's rewrite this. Plus a negative is actually minus 4.2. Minus a negative is actually plus 5. So first two numbers, they're both same signs. I'll get that right in a minute. So we're going to add the numbers and keep the sign. Now notice the 7 is actually in the ones place. So this is actually 7.0. And then the 4 is also in the ones place. So remember, when you're adding decimals, you need to line up the place values. So this is negative 11.2 plus 5. So now we have different signs. So I'm going to subtract the numbers. And again, notice the 5 is in the ones place. So I line the 5 underneath the 1 here. And I'm going to subtract. So 11 minus 5 is 6. And take the sign of the bigger number. So anytime you subtract, remember, take the sign of the bigger number. So this is negative 6.2. All right, so that's the end of our notes for section 1.5.